how do we adjust how we network, and how do we adjust how we promote both ourselves, our services, or our products?
I do think there is something to meeting people where they're at and knowing that, we had the pandemic. We also had a pretty stressful for most people, no matter which way you go. The election cycle's been stressful. The idea of the pandemic, and then also like, when is it actually going to be over? So like it's not even there's a pandemic, but it's the unknown of like, well, when am I going to be able to be back in the office? Like Glenn said, with my boss, with my, if I run a sales team, when can I actually be in the office with them? Or are we going back again? So for the kind of work that we do, supporting people and meeting them where they're at. And Glenn, you hit on it, that I think a lot of people have a reaction or it's not a fear mechanism, but the natural thing is to like not acknowledge that something's changed and to be resilient, but resilience can also result in unrealistic expectations.
A year ago, we would be having talks in meetings and groups of people that we work with in cohorts and whatnot, that you kind of work through a lot of little things. That we're having fewer and fewer of these now. And again, when you're spending so much time with other internal, I'm gonna call them distractions, family members, whatever, that you're not being able to have the personal interactions with coworkers away from the family to work on professional things. You probably don't have the time to focus on skills to better yourself as much as we did a year ago. So I think anytime you have extenuating circumstances, it's going to affect your ability to focus and to constantly move forward when maybe you're just scrambling to maintain.
What's your advice in terms of what has changed, what has moved forward in terms of just networking to build whatever your business might be? What are some good tips for our viewers today?
So I would recommend anybody you meet in a networking event, hop on a Zoom with them, hop on the phone with them, get to know them. The other thing I would say is put yourself in the room with the kind of people that you like to be surrounded by, that are also have the similar mindset. It's challenging. I don't know if you two have had this experience. When you go to a networking event, you have like half the people that are just there to get to meet people, and the other half are like, I call them like, now they're the virtual business card hander outers. Like they assess you in 1 minute, whether, they either want to do business with you, and usually they don't want to do business with anybody else. They want you to do business with them.
Yeah.
And like figure out like who those kind of people are.
Just say, hey, would you give me a recommendation? And I've had a couple set reach back. So what are you looking for? I said, just whatever you think, just please, share with me. And I think it's been that interesting of who you're known, like you just mentioned, because one of them is someone that I've been friends with for a long time. He's been a client for a decade. And I yelled at him last month when he was doing something wrong, but he's like a little brother. So if you can't yell at family, who can you yell at? My recommendation was, Glenn manages your business like it's his own. He's straightforward and no fluff. I'm like, just because I yelled at you last month, you're saying there's no fluff?
As everyone is trying to define going back to that word, that secret sauce, what their identity is, what their differentiator is in the marketplace, you have to consider what the emotion is of the people that you're asking to make a decision in your favor.
Yeah, I want to add in one thing here, Paul. And I think it was Brene Brown who said this. She said that most of us think that we are thinking creatures that have feelings, but humans are feeling creatures that happen to have thoughts.
So when you have people that are in that middle management role, that were an average salesperson that struggle to deal with maybe people that are doing a better job than what they did, and to manage them, get them to be that coach, what do you do?
It depends, right? So do you want to talk specifically in sales or just in leadership in general?
I think leadership in general, because I've seen both ends of the spectrum. Either you're great at sales, you don't understand what the average person goes through, or you're average sales and you can't manage a superstar. So I've seen both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
To where they can't become on the same level with who they're trying to coach and manage. Yeah.
So I think the main thing that I see in leadership that's a challenge for people is some people are really good at individualizing. Like, either of you ever taken StrengthsFinder? One of the things on there is individualization. And this is especially, I coach a lot of millennials. This is especially true for millennials. You can't coach everybody the same way. I mean, you can't manage everybody the same way. So If you got a superstar on your team in sales and I'm the sales manager, director, VP, I'm staying out of his way or her way as long as they're doing their, doing their Salesforce or HubSpot and acting ethically on behalf of the company. Stay out of the way and see what they need. Like in coaching, one of the things is your clients bring you stuff. So they're doing a good job driving results for the company. Why am I bothering other than to support them? Like, hey, Glenn, you're one of the top salespeople. What do you need from me?